Hi, my name is Tristan and I'm a nutritionist and personal trainer from Northampton in the UK. And in this video, I'm going to be answering the question of how many steps do you need to do to lose weight? This is a question that comes up quite a bit in my line of work, and I think a lot of people get confused about it. There's lots of information out there, lots of different people will say different things about this. So I wanted to give some clarity around the amount of steps that is a good target for you to try and hit to lose weight and how important those steps actually are. I'm going to briefly talk about comparing steps to your workouts. You know, what's more important? Should you be doing your workouts? Should you be getting your steps in? And that sort of thing. And then I'm also going to be giving some solutions and some tips about how you can increase your steps, even if you're someone who is quite sedentary and doesn't do many steps because of their job. So I'm going to start with this number 10,000 steps, which I'm sure you will have heard of. A lot of people will recommend that you do 10,000 steps. And why is that the case? So 10,000 steps probably comes from this research that was done in Japan quite a few years ago, which identified that by doing that many steps, you can increase health markers, so you can become more healthy, reduce risk of developing diseases. And they worked out that you probably burn around 500 calories when you do 10,000 steps, which is all true. But the thing is, it doesn't mean that 8,000 steps or 7,000 steps isn't useful at all. It just means that you probably burn a little bit less than what you do if you were to do 10,000 steps. And this is a really big mistake that I see, is that people think that because they can't do or won't do 10,000 steps, that there's no point in increasing their steps in the first place. 5,000 steps is around the average steps that people do in the UK at the moment, which is based on NHS research. And while that is quite a low amount, and everyone probably should try to increase their steps a bit, it doesn't mean that they have to go all the way to 10,000. I work with clients that tend to be more sedentary, so someone that's working in an office typically is going to find it quite hard to do 10,000 steps without being quite intentional about it. I'll be giving you some more tips on that very shortly. But the key thing is here, I will sometimes set targets for them. If they're only doing 5,000 at the minute, if I was to give them a target of 10,000 steps, they're probably going to find that very difficult to hit, and they may even start to feel a bit like a failure because they can't reach that. So setting them a target of maybe 6,000 steps or 7,000 steps is a great starting point, and that's something that you can build on. If you can get consistent with that amount of steps, that still makes a really big difference over time. I think people often underestimate the power of steps and how much small amounts of effort that are done lots and lots of time, how much of a difference that can make. I'm going to give you a really good example to kind of give you a picture or build a picture of the sort of impact this can make on a goal like weight loss. I'm going to start off by saying that Martin Lewis, who you've probably heard of, he does something ridiculous like 25,000 steps per day. He does like an article, he releases it every year and talks about it. Now that's a really, really big amount of steps to do. I actually did a post on this quite a while ago, and I basically worked out how many calories he probably burns and how many calories more he burns than the average person who maybe does around 5,000 steps. And I worked it out to be around 1,000 calories per day more than the average person, which is a hell of a lot. Now, doing 25,000 steps is going to be very unrealistic for most people, and for the most part it's not needed. But even someone who's doing 10,000 steps, which is a pretty decent target for a lot of people, it is quite achievable, will probably be burning around 250 calories more than the person who's doing, say, 5,000 steps. Now, 250 calories doesn't sound much. It's the equivalent of about a chocolate bar. We all know how quickly you could smash a chocolate bar. I don't know about you, but I could certainly finish one of those within a minute or probably less. And that's not much, is it? But 250 times 7 a week, we're looking at about 1,750 calories. All of a sudden, we've now got what's quite close to the recommended daily allowance for a woman in the UK, which is 2,000 calories. That's kind of 3 large meals, or if not more, and you can start to see the sort of difference that can make if you're consistently doing that amount of steps each day. So if you are someone who thinks, you know, what's the point, I can't hit 10,000 steps, if you can get 7,500, even if you are burning maybe an extra 100 calories or 150 calories per day, then over time that accumulates and can make a really big difference and will go a long way in helping you to create what's called a calorie deficit, which is what you need to lose weight. But also really important if you're at that stage where you're now trying to maintain your weight, because these extra calories you're expending means you can get away with eating a little bit more without worrying about gaining fat and storing fat. The other thing to really think about here is that if we're comparing steps to your workouts, an average workout, 45 minutes or to an hour, for most people, you're probably only going to be expending around 200 calories. It really does depend, of course, on the intensity and the type of workout you're doing, but on average, we're probably looking at around that number. So again, if that's only half hour, 1 hour of your day, but the other hours of the day that you're awake, if you're making an effort and you're getting your steps in, those steps are actually going to be more effective from a calorie burning perspective than that half hour, 1 hour workout. And that's often quite hard for people to understand, because a lot of people think that workouts are like the thing that we need to do to lose weight, and you know, you have to work out to lose weight, but actually just getting your steps up can be a lot more effective, and a lot of that can be done subconsciously just by kind of general movement and not really having to sort of make planned walks or really sort of set times that you have to walk. If you're just quite busy and active at work, for example, then you're just adding steps all day long without really thinking about it. So to really answer the question of how many steps do you need to do to lose weight, it depends. Ideally, most people need to do more or should do more. The more sedentary that you are, the more of a person that has a sedentary job where you don't move around, the more helpful it's going to be to increase your steps. But it doesn't mean that you need to go and do 10,000 steps. It also will depend on how many times a week you can commit to working out. If you can work out quite a few times per week, then that will help towards your weight loss goal and it will expend some calories. But for example, if you're someone who is going to be only able to do 6,000 steps, then you might be someone that will benefit more from getting some more workouts in and doing more cardio. The opposite can be said the same. If you're someone who's quite active and already does 10,000 or more steps, then maybe you can get away with doing less workouts. Of course, the rest of the equation all comes down to nutrition and actually managing your calories that are coming in, which I'm not going to be going into depth in this video, but that is still going to be the most important thing. But specifically around steps, that's going to be the answer for that. So I'm now going to give you some tips and solutions about how you can increase your steps if you're someone who is looking to increase them. So number 1, increase your water intake. And there's a specific way to do this, how it can help you increase your steps. So, for example, let's say you work in an office. Instead of filling up one big, large water bowl that you just have on your desk, just have a small bottle or a glass, and you make an effort and have to walk to the kitchen to fill that glass up maybe 8 or 10 times per day. All of a sudden, you've accumulated some extra steps. Another one could be when you're working or when you're on the phone. Can you make an effort to just get up and walk around when you're on the phone making a call? Whether that's for work related or where you're speaking to a friend, you can easily rack up quite a lot of steps just by pacing up or down or going for a quick walk while you're on the phone, or whether it's for like a work meeting if it's over a phone. Another one would be going for actual planned quick walks. Setting the timer maybe every hour and you go for a quick 1 minute, 2 minute walk, something like that. These little things don't sound much, but again, it's coming back to what I was saying earlier, that these things done consistently and quite a lot over the space of a day or a space of a week can really add up and start to make a really big difference. Another one could be when you're on your phone watching social media, or if you're watching a TV program. Can you simply watch it or listen to it, if it's a podcast or something, while you're walking? So again, you could do this outside, you could do this on a treadmill, whack your phone, whack your headphones in, and you can listen to a really good podcast or watch your favourite TV show while you're walking and getting those steps in. These are just some of the things that I would recommend and get my clients to implement when they need to increase their steps, and they can make a really big difference over time. So I hope these tips have helped you. I hope this has given you a bit of food for thought around where steps are beneficial for weight loss and how many steps you should be doing. If you have found this video useful, please make sure that you like it and subscribe to my channel. I will be creating more content and more videos answering questions and talking about various topics in the hope that I can help you reach your health and fitness goals. If you've got any questions, you can find me on Instagram to send me a DM and we can have a chat about any health and fitness goals or questions that you have.